As macro photographers, it is really important for us to have some understanding and knowledge of the wildlife we photograph. This doesn't mean you have to study biology or something like that, but by learning about the behavior and ecology of our subjects, we can learn more about how and when and where to best photograph them. One way that I learned a huge amount of what I know about wildlife and identification is through iNaturalist, a community science platform that had me hooked the first day that I found out about it, and that continues to be an almost daily part of my nature observation and photography today, almost 7 years later. iNaturalist is one of the biggest community science platforms worldwide. It is a place where you can share your observations of all kinds of wildlife, all kinds of organisms with the global community, and where these observations can be further identified. And overall, it is a place for people to connect and engage with the biodiversity around them. At the same time, all of the data that is generated with all of these observations is accessible to researchers all around the world, and through this can contribute to biology and conservation. Now, I would recommend for just about anyone to try out iNaturalist. It's a really fun way to engage with and learn about biodiversity, but I would like to focus on how it can be really useful as a tool for macro photographers in particular. Now, the first way is maybe the most obvious, and what I already mentioned briefly before, is for identification, to identify what it is we've photographed. And this is partly through the very decent iNaturalist AI suggestions when you upload a photo for what species might be in the photo. But what's more important is the incredibly welcoming and helpful global community of people who are willing to help out with identifying observations. And for just about any taxonomic group, any kind of animals or protozoans or fungi or plants that you can think of, there are people on iNaturalist who are willing to help out with identifying your observations of them. And I have had so many really interesting things identified through iNaturalist that I would have otherwise had no way of knowing, whether it's species that are identified on iNaturalist for the first time, or even some really rare things like this beetle that was the first record of the species in Berlin, or another beetle where my photo was actually one of the first ever photos of a living individual of this species. Another way that iNaturalist can be helpful for macro and wildlife photography is for scouting out new locations or targets. If I'm traveling to a new place, I'll often check on iNaturalist first to see what has been seen there, and maybe if there's any particular species I would like to look for. And if I'm looking to photograph a particular species, I'll have a look on iNaturalist if there are any places nearby where it has been seen. Now, this is a point where it is really important to be respectful and careful. If you're going to a new place, try to disturb the habitat and the species there as little as you possibly can. And if you're photographing some kind of rare or threatened or sensitive species, maybe don't post the exact location. There's a way on iNaturalist that you can obscure the location so that it is only visible in a larger box, and I always try and do this with sensitive species. But for me, maybe the coolest thing that iNaturalist is a record of all of the biodiversity that I've ever seen and documented. For any given species, I can look back on when and where I've seen it. And for any place or time, I can look back on what I saw and photographed there. This allows you to get some really cool insights and statistics into your nature observation. For example, iNaturalist lets you generate a year in review for each year with some really cool statistics and visualizations and summarizations of everything you have seen and put on iNaturalist that year. But you can look at your own things as well. And for me, for example, one of the coolest things is that I've documented over 4,000 species on iNaturalist just within the city of Berlin. Quite a few of my photos and videos are taken in Berlin, in forests, sometimes even in urban spaces, and I think a lot of people don't realize just how much biodiversity there is in big cities. And this brings me to the other reason I'm making this video, which is a really cool community science event happening this coming weekend, which is the City Nature Challenge. This Nature Challenge is a BioBlitz event where on one weekend at the end of April, people in cities all over the world go outside to document the biodiversity in their cities. I first heard about the City Nature Challenge a bit over 5 years ago, and seeing that there wasn't one happening in Berlin, I thought I would try and organize it here myself. For the first couple of years, I obviously couldn't reach that many people since I was doing it almost entirely by myself, but in the last couple of years, I've had lots of support from the Berlin Natural History Museum and lots of other local organizations. And this year we've got lots of in-person events happening to show people wild places in the city and have them participate in the challenge. If you'd like to participate, all you have to do is make an iNaturalist account either on the app or in the website, and every observation you make in Berlin from the 25th to the 28th of April will automatically count towards the challenge. If you're not in Berlin, there are almost 700 cities participating all over the world, so I'll put a link to the full list in the description and you can have a look if there's a city participating near you. For me personally, the City Nature Challenge is a fun opportunity to try and see as many species as I possibly can in a short period of time. Last year, over the 4 days of the challenge, I was able to document over 700 species in the city, and this year I'm obviously going to try and top that. I'll be filming a bit behind the scenes during the challenge, and will definitely post some form of video a few weeks afterwards with my personal highlights from the weekend and showing my final results and our final results from Berlin. If you'd like to follow along, you can have a look at the iNaturalist project or follow along on Instagram. I'll put all of the important links into the description, and I would be really happy if a few of you decide to participate in a local City Nature Challenge or check out iNaturalist in general. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.